Hey guys, what's up? Nick here once again, and this is my full tier list on the levels of Twisted Metal 3. So let's get right into it. We're going to be starting from left to right here in this tier list that I actually had to create for this video, so I have a link in the description below if you would like to go make your own version of this tier list, and I highly recommend checking out the community Discord and posting your tier list in there. But that being said, we're going to jump into it. So going from left to right here, we have Egypt. Now, Egypt in TM3, if you are new to my channel, you wouldn't know this, but if you've been here a long time, trust me, you know my hatred for this map. I truly believe that this map is worse than Washington, D.C. And we'll get to that map, of course, in a minute here for the tier list. But I have to say, I truly believe that Egypt is the worst map in Twisted Metal history that's ever been created, and I know that's saying a lot, but I truly stand by it. The main issue with Egypt is not that it doesn't have enough unique things going on. I think it has some cool features to it, like the eye that you can get that shoots a laser from the top of the pyramid onto an enemy from where you plant the bomb. I think that's a really cool idea. Then you have the teleporter area that's hidden, where you can fall into it and you land in another area where you can use lightning to hurt the enemy. The biggest issue I have with this map is it's just way too wavy and bumpy, I guess is the best way to describe it. And with the physics in this game, your car can flip over so easily that it just becomes a nuisance. It's super annoying. And on top of that, if you are to get hit by a missile that sends your car flying, you can just go skidding across the map, go ramp up the sides, and you'd be stuck there. And at that point, you are just completely at the mercy of the AI that could constantly keep freezing you, attacking you, etc. I just have the absolute worst luck on this map, and I do think it comes down to the physics of the game and how the map works with those physics. So, with that being said, yeah, Egypt to me is definitely trashed here. Next up is the final map in the tournament, the Blimp. And the Blimp is actually a really unique level, and just in general. I like the layout of this one, and I like what they try to do with adding a puzzle element to a Twisted Metal level. That's just never really been done before, in the sense that if you're your first time playing the game, your first time playing this map, it is extremely difficult because the enemies, there's already 5 you have to fight, which is an insane amount right off the bat, but it's a pretty relatively large map, so you do have some distance away from people, which is nice. However, if you kill somebody, you will soon realize they just keep respawning. There's no way to stop it until you realize that there's these switches on the walls around the entire map. And once you destroy the 5 switches, boom, now the regeneration has ended and you can start killing people and not have them respawn, and then you can fight the final boss, Primeval. I really like this idea. I think it's really cool. I do feel they didn't give enough hints towards new players, and this could be very frustrating to a lot of people. I know as a kid, this level it frustrated me to no end because of that, to where you almost have to look up a strategy guide on how to do it. That being said, games were harder back then, so I'll give it a pass. But in terms of its actual design, I like the verticality of this map. There's like basically 2 levels to it. You got the upstairs and then the downstairs of the Blimp. And then you also have the giant open area that you can send people flying to their deaths outside of the map. And it's really fun to do so, especially cheesing Primeval himself. To have him fall through it and die is just an amazing, hilarious feeling. So for me, I gotta give the Blimp an S tier rating. Next up is Tokyo. I like the aesthetic of Tokyo. I like that it's set at night. I like the dish power-up that you can get that essentially homes on anyone nearest to it, and it does an insane amount of damage. As well as the lava below is a really cool touch. It's just like the lava in TM2 on Amazonia, where if you fall into it, it's not an instant death or anything, it just slowly ticks away your health the longer you're in it. So it's not a frustrating map by any means, so you're not an insta-kill if you fall off of it. But it is one of those things where I wish for an added dynamic to the level. It would have been interesting if it did immediately kill you falling into the lava, just because there isn't a level in this game that's like the rooftops like we got in TM2 or TM1. So it's just kind of weird we don't have that this time around. There's no level that has an area where you can actually fall off and die, except for the very end with the Blimp area. So that being said, I do wish Tokyo had a little bit more of a scare factor to it with the lava below. But overall aesthetics, really love it. I love the soundtrack. It's one of my favorite songs in the entire game. And again, I like that it's set at night. It does have a lot of verticality, some cool jumps, and it's an overall really good size. It's not too big, it's not too small, it's more on the medium size. But I am going to lower it down to an A tier from an S, only because I do wish the lava actually did kill you immediately. Maybe someone can make a mod for that at some point, because I think that would be really cool. And one little thing I'm going to add to that, I know some people are going to come back and be like, well, you gave New York in TM2 a bad rating because it killed you immediately. The biggest reason for that is A, the physics system for TM2 just does not favor a level where you're up on the in the skyscrapers that can kill you immediately. And B, this map is not designed in a way that where it'd be tricky or it would set to trick you on falling off the level to die in the lava. It's pretty self-explanatory, the areas that you can actually fall off in the lava here, and the jumps are easy enough to clear with the physics systems that I just don't think it would be a huge hindrance to the gameplay or deter any new players. Moving on though to Hangar 18, this is probably my favorite map in the entire game. It is one of the smaller ones by far, but it has a lot of cool hidden features with it. There's an extra area that you can actually find through a teleporter that brings you to an alien spaceship. It looks really creepy. The first time I found it as a kid, it actually horrified me, and I was like, am I supposed to find this kind of thing? But it gives you some extra power-ups, which is really cool. And then, of course, you can destroy all the switches around the map and get on top of the UFO. You can blow up the UFO and get an insanely strong electrical attack that pretty much kills everybody in one hit. It's amazing. And because of that, you get a lot of extra verticality to the map. It almost unlocks, in a way, a whole second level up top of the UFO, just like we got in the Paris level in TM2. And of course, the aesthetics of Hangar 18 is super dope. I love the blue aesthetics because it's my favorite color, of course. And we have the overall theme of aliens, which is just dope as hell. And of course, also has my favorite song in the entire game by Pitch Shifter. So yeah, you know where Hangar 18's going. It's going to the S tier. Now here's where the maps start taking a turn. In TM2, you guys know I'm not a huge fan of the game itself, but I commended them for the level design, and I still stand by that. I think they're some of the best levels in the entire series. TM3, I think, actually has the worst levels in the entire series, and that's, of course, including Egypt. But moving on to, these are the hidden levels. So this is a hidden level that you can only get through a cheat code, and it's Club Kid's house. The idea of it is simple enough, and I think it would have been really a cool idea. So I think Club Kid's an interesting character. I actually am one of the people that would wish to see him come back at some point in the future, especially if we could get Twister and Club Kid in the same game. That'd be insane. But that being said, his level is just nothing to write home about. It's literally a circle. It's like a roller rink is the best way to describe it. It's got some interesting lighting effects, I'll give it that, with the disco ball in the middle, setting the lights around the map. And it's got some interesting music, but it's, again, it's just a literal circle map, like an arena, like the original arena in TM1, and you're going against like 6 opponents. So it's very boring, it's very bland. The only thing cool about it is the lighting effects. So that bumps it up from trash tier at least, but it's still definitely a C tier and no higher. Next is the other hidden map, and this is kind of a 2-for-1 situation. I was going to put both in here, but I figured they're so much alike that I'm only going to include the one that's the better version. So it's called the Warehouse, and there's also the Warehouse 2. Now, the difference between the two is the first Warehouse is literally just the level that you see in the background of the opening menu when you turn on the game. It's just a bland open warehouse, concrete floor, nothing around. I don't even think there's power pickups, if I remember right. It's literally just that bland. And you drive around running into every character in the game, so you're going against like 12 characters or whatever it is. That's Warehouse 1, but this is essentially only looking at Warehouse 2, which is the same thing, same level, but the difference is they included some ramps that have like a loop-de-loop and stuff like that. It's really dumb, but it is interesting, I guess. It adds a little bit more to it, and they added weapon pickups. So clearly it's the better version. That being said, though, it's still better than the Club Kid map, but it's still very bland. There's almost nothing to the level. And it's not really even worth it looking up the cheat code to play it, because it's just by far one of the worst maps in the game compared to the ones you get in the tournament anyway. So even though I do think it is technically better than the Club Kid level, I'm going to put it in the same rating just because it's still not nearly good enough, in my opinion, to be a B tier level. Next up is London. This one is only iconic to me because you fight Minion on it. And I think any level in a Twisted Metal game where you fight Minion is going to be iconic to me. It's going to have those childhood memories of me running into Minion and getting scared shitless. So that's why London does have a special place in my heart. But looking at it objectively, It's not that great of a map. It's not very big. It's kind of an optical illusion where it does seem like a large map. And granted, in the scheme of TM3 maps, it is one of the larger ones. But it just feels like it's missing something. I can't put my finger on it. It just feels like the map is cut in half from what it's supposed to be. It really does. There's just too many lanes. I feel like they just go nowhere. There's areas in the map that just seem like there could have been more to it, that is just so bland and boring that it makes you pretty much always loop back to the main square area where you have a little bit of a jump that goes up to where the Big Ben is, and then you have this open grass field where everybody kind of conjugates and fights. There's really no other reason to go anywhere else in the map, and there's no secret areas really to find or anything like that except for one little teleporter. But yeah, it's a very bland map all in all. There's no verticality really to it at all, and it's kind of set up like Minion's Maze in TM4, but just actually worse. So yeah, I'm really sad to say this because I like Minion as a boss, and I like the idea of London as a map, but I have to give London a B tier. I was actually going to put it lower at C tier, but it is better than those secret levels that I talked to previously. Alrighty, and next is the one we've all been waiting for. It's the famous, the infamous, I guess is a better word for it, Washington, D.C. This is clearly a map where still to this day, I truly believe this was a beta map that they just threw into the game so that they had enough maps for a full tournament. Because obviously we all know to this day that TM3 was heavily rushed out of the gate. They only had like 6 or 7 months of development time, which is nothing. So I commend them for what we did receive. But yeah, I mean, you can't hide it. Washington, D.C. is by far the laziest map I've ever seen in a TM game. It's literally a flat plane with just the White House at the end of it that you can kind of crawl up onto the boardwalk of it, I guess. I don't know what the right word is, but you can kind of get in front of it, and that's it. You can't go in the White House or nothing crazy like that, but you just crawl up onto it. There's a couple weapon pickups and a teleporter, and that's it. And yeah, it's just a flat plane. There's nothing crazy or interesting about this map. It looks gross. It feels gross. It's just boring. However, because Egypt has so many issues that make it actually unfun, that's the reason I think it's lower than Washington, D.C. And that's why I'm going to put Washington, D.C. in C tier instead of trash. Now, don't fight me in the comments on this. I know a lot of people are going to disagree on this. I truly believe it's better than trash, only because it's a boring map. There's not a lot to do here, but at least there's nothing in it that make the gameplay worse or makes you frustrated. The other thing, too, is it does have Darkseid. I think that also is a leg up for it as well. You do get to fight Darkseid as a boss, which I think is a cool idea. It's just such a shame that Darkseid's so easy in this game to fight, and it's on arguably, you know, one of the worst maps in the game. So it's just boring. That's the best way to describe it. It's just boring. Next up is Hollywood, the very first map in the game, and I gotta say that for the first impressions, first map, it's okay. It's kind of more leaning towards Washington, D.C. in the sense of it's on the boring side. And I truly just believe that's because of only going against 2 enemies on the first map. If they went against 3 or 4, I think that would have been perfect. And I think that would have made it a lot more sense and made you stay in the level long enough to really take in the environment and appreciate it more. Plus, you get to listen to Rob Zombie's Super Beast a little bit longer, which is always a good thing. And this map does have some cool things that I like about it. I like the little grass plain area where you have the full health pickup on the right side of the map. I like the decrepit highway that's falling apart and it becomes a giant jump that you can actually jump across the map. It lets you land in a small section that actually gets you some extra power-ups. There is stuff like that that give this map some creativity, but it does feel smaller than what it actually is. And I think you could tell they wanted to do more with it. But I think because of the rush development time, they had to make it smaller, which is a big bummer because this map could have had a lot more cooler features with it. But for what it is, the aesthetics are nice, the lighting effects are nice. I don't really have any complaints in the sense of it being bad in the sense of like ruining gameplay or making my car flip over unfairly or just, you know, being an unfair level. I just wish there was more enemies to fight on. So I do think Hollywood is the perfect definition of a B map. And last but not least, we are looking at the North Pole. This one is interesting, is the least I could say about this level. It's not that it's a terrible map. It does have a special place in my heart. I've always loved the music on this map. I think the cover of More Human Than Human by White Zombie is perfect for it. And I do like that you can destroy the entire Santa's workshop in general in the middle of the map, which is really cool. I like that you can fall down in that kind of gully area within the iceberg because I believe it's all taking place on an iceberg, at least it looks like it. And when you're down in that area, you can throw some ricochets that go around and hit people. And you do have a nice lightning attack that's an environmental that does a lot of damage. And essentially, it's just a giant circle. The entire map's a giant circle. It's just one of those things where there's not a whole lot to really write home about here. It's more on the bland side. And I think this kind of correlates with many of the maps in TM3, sadly. It's not bad. There's nothing I hate about this map. It's just I wish there was more secrets to find. I wish there was more to it. Maybe instead of making it a giant circle, like 90% of the maps in this game, they could have added some winding areas, maybe that go outside the circle, just like one little extra pathway that's hidden. Would have been really cool. It would have been really neat to see. But I think because of the rush development, that really did hinder it. And that's why this map, again, I can't bump it up to an A because there's nothing about it that's just amazing or like crazy cool. It's got a nice aesthetic to it. It's a Christmas theme level. I like that idea of it. I love the soundtrack, but that's pretty much it. I mean, everything else is just pretty bland, pretty meh. So again, I think the North Pole is a perfect example of a B map. So that is pretty much it for my full tier list of the levels of TM3. I don't think this will be too surprising for most people watching this video, and I don't think it surprised me either. Most of these maps are going to be in the B and C tier level, which is a shame because I think TM3 still gets a lot of unnecessarily flack. I think it's still a fun game to play. If you haven't played it before, I highly recommend giving it a shot. But that being said, it definitely has its fair share of stinkers in the level department, and it definitely could have been better. But who knows? Maybe one day we'll get a modded community big enough to where they can make their own levels and put them in TM3. That'd be amazing. I would love to see Club Kid being able to stomp all of the levels in TM one day. But who knows? That being said, as you all know, my list and my opinions do not matter. What matters here is you, the community. So let me know in the comment section below, or of course in the community Discord, what is your tier list for the TM3 levels? Let me know. Make sure to leave a like to show your support as always. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one, and we'll hopefully see you in the next one. Peace out, everybody. Thank you guys so much for making it to the end of the video. Before we head out, I want to give a huge special thank you to our channel members. These are amazing people who are wanting to support the channel and the content here. And if you want to do the same, you can click the little join button underneath every single new upload. And in becoming a channel member not only supports me and the channel, but also gives you a ton of perks in doing so, including early access to new content and being a part of exclusive polls and information that other people would not be able to access. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you again so much for the love and support, and we'll hopefully see you in the next one. Peace out.